TSF Entertainment.
And welcome back to the TSF Entertainment Channel. It's your boy Retro CG in the building. Tonight I am joined by my brother in arms, Mr. DJ Fresh, Your Highness. What's good, brother? You're still muted.
What's going on?
There you go.
What's going on, bro? What's going on?
There you go. And we got in the building with us our other brother, Mr. OG Bobby Jumpman. What's up, bro?
What it do, baby? Thanks for having me.
What's good? What's good? Welcome in. Welcome in. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Better late than never. X-Men 97, episode 3, season 1, episode 3, Fire Made Flesh. This our review and our recap. Shout out to the chat. Jack of Jordans wasn't able to be here with us tonight. Hopefully Juggernaut of Soul will join us later on in the episode. All right, so what did y'all think about the episode?
I think, hold on, I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah. Nah, this was a good one because I knew from here, this is where everything was going to start to pick up.
Yeah.
This is where everything was going to start to pick up. Like the first two, it was kind of like, but this one, I knew from this one on, that's when it was really going to start to pick up.
Yeah, this episode right here definitely had me hyped. Go ahead, OG.
Yeah. This episode opened that door right here. I was feeling this episode.
Yeah.
When I first watched it, man, it was a jaw dropper.
Yeah.
Jaw dropper.
Yo, when I saw this episode right here, I knew we had something here. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Yep. We got that good right now. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about this episode. All right, so it's episode 3, Fire Made Flesh. When another Jean arrives at the X Mansion, it threatens Cyclops and Jean's relationship. The team is propelled into a tragic confrontation with an immortal mad Victorian scientist with plans to use Nathan's mutant DNA for world domination. We all know that's Mr. Sinister. So the opening, like I told you back before, Fresh, like each episode, the title, the opening credits has a different, montage in it. So this one, we got a remake of Magneto's first appearance on the animated series, which was Inner Magneto, where he's fighting Storm, Wolverine, Cyclops. We got a shot of Lilandra and the Dark Phoenix saga. And then this scene between Remy and Rogue is actually from the comics. That was kind of dope that they redrew that and added that to the title. So I thought that was pretty dope. All right, so the episode starts off with Jean number 2. Jean number 2. She is scanning the other Jean's thoughts to try to figure out, where did she come from, who is she, what she's all about. And she sees her thoughts, they're kind of like scattered. They're not really, she can't really make sense of her memories. And it was dope how they did all the blank faces of that shot when they saw her in Jean's mind. All the faces were blank. So it's like she was looking at empty memories, so to speak. So that was kind of dope. I like how they shot that.
I thought it was just she was looking at herself, so that's why you didn't see her face.
Kind of, sort of. One could say that as well. I mean, she was kind of looking in the mirror at herself. But the memories that she's seeing inside Jean's mind is kind of like scattered there all over the place, so she can't really make sense of what she's seeing. And it could be possible that she's seeing memories that she don't remember herself. So it's a lot to take away from that. And she also sees where the other Jean kind of woke up in Sinister's lab and escaped. And now as she's scanning Jean's thoughts, she gets like a little psionic feedback or something, maybe from Mr. Sinister or something, not letting her dive too deep. I guess he wasn't ready for the big reveal at this point for her to realize that she was actually the clone. And so the rest of the team is kind of like trying to figure out like what's going on. Beast confirms that the Jean that's on the couch is actually the real Jean Grey. He used gamma rays to kind of like isolate their DNA and found out that our Jean is the correct age and the new Jean, like her DNA is like new. So like you're the clone.
Yeah, mutated.
Mutated. Bait.
Yeah.
She had a Maury moment.
Yeah, she had a Maury moment. You are not the father. You're not the real Jean Grey.
What was it? Madeline?
Yep, Madeline.
Yeah, Madeline. Okay.
Yep. But when I saw this, I really, really had got excited because for years when we was watching the original X-Men animated series, we always saw that Mr. Sinister kept kidnapping Jean, but we never saw what he was doing. You know, we never saw him experiment on her or anything. So it's dope that they finally gave us what we had been waiting for back in the original X-Men, where like what was the purpose of Sinister's kidnapping Jean and Scott all the time. So we now learn that he has cloned Jean to create a child with Scott, and then he's got plans for this child to be some super mutant or whatever.
I still never understood, even in the back of the original series, how he was even kidnapping her then, because that made absolutely no sense, especially for somebody who was a mega level. Like I could see Cyclops, I get it, but her, like I didn't understand it back then. So, but like you said, it was dope to see it come now. Like, what is this? 20 years later, 30 years later?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and we finally get to see what his purpose was for kidnapping Jean, which I'm going to answer your question a little bit later on, but I have that same gripe as well because Jean is an Omega level mutant and she's never been showcased that in the animated series. She's never been showcased the extent of her abilities other than when she was the Phoenix. But beyond her having the Phoenix Force, Jean Grey was supposed to be one of the most powerful telepaths and one of the most powerful telekinetics. At least that's how they always portrayed her in the comics. Here, she uses her power to lift the spoon across the room and she falls out. So,
Like you said,
Jean and her fingers
in the movies. That's the only time we seen her powers.
Oh my god! So Jean's mad because Scott doesn't believe her. She's trying to get Scott to, confirm that she is the real Jean Grey. She snatches up the baby and she storms off. She later on tells Scott that, listen, no matter what Beast tests say, I'm the mother of this child. So, and Scott's like, well, no, ain't nobody doubting that. But, there's a lot going on right now. We got to try to figure stuff out. Like the professor's off world right now. Magneto's here. Storm's gone. We got another Jean out there laying out here. Like, there's a lot of shit going on right now. We need to just try to figure this stuff out. And she like, just leave me alone. And she sends him away. And so at this point, she starts kind of like having a conversation with Nathan about, we should have ran when we had the chance. We still got time to run. So right here, we start to see everything coming down on her. Like, yo, this might not be what I think it is. And then there's this ominous voice that comes across the baby monitor and starts talking to her. And he's like, are you Jean Grey? Are you the real Jean Grey? And we later learn that it's Mr. Sinister that's talking to her. And he reveals to her that I made you, I baked you, you belong to me, you got a bigger purpose. And so right here, she realizes that she's not the real Jean Grey. I think it was dope how they brought Sinister in. But I was kind of confused, though, because it was like she didn't even know he was Sinister.
I was just about to say, I was confused for two reasons. One, just like you said, like she didn't know it was Sinister. And two, like, was he in her mind? Or what was it? Because I know he wasn't in the house, so it was just like how, like they didn't even show as far as like how she even heard him. It's like we see him, but I'm like, yo, is he in the house, or is this something that's in like he, I guess maybe took her DNA and he's able to connect with her mind like Professor X or something. That's what I was lost at.
Bobby, what's your take on that?
I believe it's his latter take on it. He's kind of like embedded in her mind, kind of just like connected with her, just like that at all times.
I thought of it more so it was like a psionic projection, like he's just coming to her telepathically. because I believe one of Mr. Sinister's powers is he has telepathy, telekinesis as well. So I just assumed it was him just kind of like talking to her telepathically and projecting himself. Or maybe it's her seeing him inside her mind.
Okay. Yeah, I was lost by that. That confused me.
Shout out to my boy Bishop. My boy Bishop gets some screen time. That's my dude. If I was a mutant, that would be Bishop. So Beast is trying to do some more tests on Jean. Scott's over there trying to tend to the other Jean. And Bishop's like, yo, Beast, how much longer are you gonna get the time band fixed? Because he's ready to go back to the future at this point. So, and Beast then lets them know that he thinks he knows who created the new Jean Grey, and he reveals to them that it's Mr. Sinister. So it was dope that Beast was able to recognize through his test Sinister's work. So he reveals to the team that it's Sinister. Sinister continues to harass Madeline over the baby monitor, and she's trying to resist him at this point because in her mind, he hasn't fully activated her yet. So in her mind, she still thinks she's the real Jean Grey. And so she's trying to kind of fight his influence, and she's kind of dispute what he's telling her over the baby monitor. But eventually he takes control of her through that little diamond that he implanted in her. He takes control of her, and now she transforms into the Goblin Queen. And when I saw this, I really, really got hyped. And Bobby, you should know too. This comes from the comics, the Inferno storyline. I was like, yo, they're actually going to give us Inferno. I was like, because there's a lot of different story arcs from the X-Men over the years that they have not adapted to the movies, that they have not adapted to the animated series. So this was a very odd storyline that to see on screen. That's not one of the. I mean, this one was from like 1989, so this is a really really old adaptation. And I was like, wow, it's dope.
It's like a B-side, what I'm saying, for the real things.
Yeah, it's not one of the more popular storylines. Yeah. Go ahead, Fresh.
Nah, because okay, I'm lost again. Like, so if he wasn't there, how in the world did he even put the little diamond like in her head or on her head or whatever?
He did that when he was during the cloning process.
Okay.
Because remember they showed a flashback right here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Flashback of him putting the diamond in her head, and this is what he uses to control his subjects with. Okay. So she begins to tear up the room, and during her transformation, she telekinetically changes her clothes into the Goblin Queen. I was like, are we really fit to get the Goblin Queen's full outfit? Because that outfit she had on in the comic was, ooh, it was a little risky. It was a little risky because back then they drew them bad.
Fly today, so
yeah. Yeah, it is good, King Retro, that they're giving us that storyline. Yeah, I was wondering if they was going to give us the full Inferno storyline because it's a little bit different. It's a remastered version of Inferno because in the comics, Scott and Madeline actually do get married, but he knows that she's not the real Jean Grey in the comics because she's a lookalike. And Sinister kind of used her to manipulate Scott because they end up getting married and they moved to Alaska. And in the comics, they thought that Jean was dead, and that this woman looked so much like Jean, it forced him to kind of fall in love with her. So I was wondering how deep they were going to go into the Inferno storyline, but it seems like it's just kind of like a little teaser to Inferno. It's taking elements from that storyline. Man, this scene right here had me tripping.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. You got Gambit, Morph, and Wolverine coming out of the danger room, right? And they had just got finished practicing, and Morph with his old messy ass. Ain't gonna tell.
They're working on stamina.
He told Gambit that Rogue was testing her stamina out with Magneto, and they showed on the screen that the danger room was booked up for like the next 3 days. And he was breaking Rogue back off in the danger room.
I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize that was a schedule right there. Till you just said that.
Yes.
Magneto Rogue in the danger room for like the next 7 days. Like Rogue's really tested her stamina with the new balls.
I never even paid attention to that till you just said that.
That shit was
hilarious.
So Gabby's like, nah, hey, so they out on patrol. He was like, nah, they here doing their thing. Yeah. So Gambit leaves to go try to find out where Rogue actually is. And this is where we start to see the manipulation. This is where we start to see the Goblin Queen actually using her powers to kind of influence the rest of the X-Men team. She's warping, not necessarily warping reality, but she's projecting this psionic version of these demons and goblins and all this stuff. And it's dope because she's actually making their worst fears or the things that are bothering them at the moment in time come to fruition. So that was dope. So we saw Gambit, his fear was that Rogue and Magneto did have something going on, but we know that it was a premonition. But in his mind, this is what he's seeing.
Yeah.
You got Jubilee and Sunspot there on the couch watching the movie. And so I ain't gonna go there with you. I'm glad you in the comments because I don't have to pull them on the screen.
I just happened to look and see that.
Yeah, I just happened to look over there too. He was like, "Man, digging in on Rogue, yo."
He lucky juggling.
Getting it magnetized.
He lucky juggling out here.
And so Roberto they start seeing some kind of like monster or something come out of the TV at them. And it turns out to be Roberto's mother. So that's his biggest fear right now, that his mom finds out that he's a mutant. And he's kind of embarrassed and shamed and scared of that, his mother finding out that he's a mutant. So I thought that was pretty dope. Then you had Cyclops and Bishop. They burst in the nursery to try to go check on Nathan. And you have Professor Xavier is kind of digging at Scott. You had Shard that's kind of digging at Bishop, basically saying, come back to the future. You left us behind. And it was dope to see a cameo of Shard. I want her to come on back. Thank you for the super chat, King Retro. Y'all know Rogue was getting the G worked out. Whatever. Only because you gave a super chat. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, I know, right?
Man, when I rewatched this episode, I just knew Jack was gonna let us have it this week, man. I just knew it.
Yeah, he gonna let us have it all right. He in them comments. He couldn't get on with us today, but yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh God, this is the episode right here. He definitely
Rogue had some missteps.
She had a few mishaps. All right. So the team is now being transcended to, I guess, what's supposed to be like hell or a version of hell. And it was dope because one thing I like about the action scenes and the fighting scenes is they use their powers together. I like how they are all kind of intertwined with each other and they kind of use each other for different strategies in battle. So I like that. Bishop uses Cyclops to charge him up.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclops, yeah, that was really dope. Cyclops gave him a mega blast. He charged my man Bishop up. Bishop got strong real quick and he blasted the demons away. So I thought that was pretty cool that we actually get to see Bishop's powers. In the comics, Bishop has a very unique way that he can use his powers. He can use his powers in various different ways besides just shoot energy blasts. He can use it to increase his strength physically, and he can do a lot of different things with his power. So I think Bishop is a pretty dope character. He's one of my favorites, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Retro, I'll tell you something I like about that particular scene is how Beast name drops Dante's Inferno. To confirm for us that, yes, we are getting a piece of the Inferno story.
Yep, that's true.
I like that confirmation.
You know what? They do a lot of that with the wordplay in these episodes. They tie in. They tie in the episode titles, so I like that too. Okay, so you have real Jean Grey. She comes in and she kind of dispels the psionic images that everybody's seeing, and she kind of comes in and wipes out Madeline's mind control over everyone. So I said, okay, we get ready to see Jean Grey do her thing, and of course she collapsed. Of course, she uses her power all for 10 minutes and she's exhausted. And it just pisses me off because, like, that's not real Jean Grey. Yeah. So Goblin Queen shows up. She's got Nathan and a psionic bubble. She's getting ready to leave the mansion. She says that the other Jean is pathetic, which she kind of is. And she warns the X-Men not to follow her or they'll get what's coming to them. So it's really dope how Madeline, or the Goblin Queen's powers, she seems to be more powerful than Jean Grey.
At the very moment, that's for sure.
Yeah. So the rest of the team is in the Inferno trying to tend to their wounds. And I'm just like, well, how did they get injured?
That's what I was thinking. Like, wasn't it all a dream?
Yeah. How did they get injured? They act like they've been in battle for real. Bishop all bandaged it up over there. I'm like, well,
I'm thinking maybe like in their dream they was fighting, I don't know, the walls or something. Then that's how they ended up hurting themselves. Because I was trying to figure out the same thing.
Rogue and Magneto comes in from patrol. King Retro. They was out on patrol. They came back to the mansion from being on
check. There you go. That's one of the parts there. I'm like, so they just popped in up out of nowhere. Oh, we're back.
I bet you are.
I bet you are back.
In the damn danger room.
Maybe they were in the danger room, right? So Rogue rushes in. Of course, she rushes to Remy's aid. And she goes to check on Gambit. And she's like, I'm sorry I wasn't there. And Magneto asks Scott, like, yo, what's going on? And he informs Magneto of what's happened with the Sinister and cloning Jean and the Goblin Queen and all that. And Jean's just having a breakdown, a little bit of a breakdown right now. Beast sedates her because I guess her powers are overwhelming her. She can't control them at this point. So Magneto decides to go ahead and get a strike team together, and they finna go after Sinister. I'm like, oh shit, we finna get some action. I'm like, all right, cool. I want to see this. Back at Sinister's lab, he's now got Nathan in his possession, and he puts Nathan into this like cylinder with some type of whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does the baby breathe in this? Is he is it oxygenized or something? Like, how does the baby breathe in this? What's up, Juggernaut? Welcome in. Welcome in.
Good. What's up? What's up?
Let me see what he was patrolling that neck. Y'all know she ain't right. Looks suspect as hell. They were in the danger room, King Retro. That's where they were. They were in the danger room practicing.
King Retro, I got my phone on my side next to me, man. I'm gonna mute you.
He's already muted. So they pull up the Sinister spot right now, and they finna go in here and shut stuff down. I'm like, oh, this is a good strike team right here. You got Magneto, you got Morph, you got Bishop, Cyclops. I say, okay, they might get some work done. So Madeline meets them at the door, and she takes them out. It was dope that Morph turned into Ileana Rasputin, magic, and he turned into both versions of her, like with the Soul Sword when she was like the little, because she had like some type of demon powers or something too in the comics as well. So that was dope. I wonder why he picked her to morph into, but I like how they use Morph to give us characters that we've never seen in the animated series before. So that's kind of dope. I don't quite understand how he can morph into them and have their weapons.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. Because he did even last episode with Psylocke. When he turned into Psylocke, he had swords. I'm like, where's the weapons coming from? So she takes them all out one by one. But I was really shocked that she gave Magneto that work.
Yeah, she put that work on him.
I couldn't believe that. I didn't think that anyone could do that to Magneto, let alone a telekinetic.
Hey, go back to Magneto's force field, bro. Remember what we talked about last week?
Yeah.
She actually got through it right here.
Yeah, she got through it right here.
She's getting through it. And we were wondering, can it be penetrated last week?
Well, obviously it can because she fucked him up. I mean, she messed him up real good. She messed him up real good in that force field. She told Magneto that he was a villain playing dress up as a hero, and she should make him her toy. I was like, damn, Madeline, talk that talk. And so, of course, lovesick Cyclops, your boy down bad, don't realize he fighting a clone, and she takes control of him real quick, and she'll get ready to work on him. And she would get ready to go to work on him. She get ready to go to work on him when other Jean is still having her issues. And of course, Logan, I Dream of Jeannie, is by her bedside. Lovesick Logan.
Bro, I'm just realizing this now. All of these love triangles, you got them two,
Right.
and Cyclops, you got Magneto and Rogue, and I'm just starting to realize you got Jubilee and like what?
Every character.
Is everybody sleeping with everybody? What's going on in the X-Men house, man?
But Bobby will tell you that's how it's always been.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it's always been in the X-Men house.
That's how it goes. That's all ran through.
Like everybody just everybody, it's just a free fall in that joint.
Yeah, it's a freak fest. It's a freak nick over there at the X Mansion, yo, because they all hook up over there. So Jean is struggling to try to pull her conscience together, her memories and control her powers and everything. And Logan asks her to focus in on his mind. And there she learns that he cares a lot about her. And they were just about to have a moment when she got a psionic. Her and Scott have this psychic rapport or something. Mm-hmm. And she saw that Madeline was attacking him. So she's like, I got to go help Scott. So forget you, Logan. Even though he brought her out.
I got to go.
Situation, but I got to go. So she creates an astral form of herself to confront Madeline on the astral plane. And they have kind of like a little banter back and forth with each other where they're going back and forth about whose memories belong to who. Madeline shows Jean her life before her, and Madeline is saying that these are my memories, these are not your memories. So it was kind of dope because a lot of these were comic book covers, like that one with Cyclops and Jean in the wedding dress. That's from their wedding. I remember that comic. The one where he's holding her as Dark Phoenix, that's from the comic. So that was pretty dope. I like how they did that.
I just realized Angel is in the one to the left.
Yep. Angel. Yep. I wonder why they always show him as one of the original X-Men on the animated series, because in that continuity, he wasn't. But in the comic book, yes, it was him and Iceman. I hate when they show them as original X-Men, but when they introduce those characters to the show, they did refer to Iceman as being one of the X-Men, but they never did with Angel when they showed his story. So I thought that was kind of dope how they did that. And, Jean's just kind of looking at all these memories, and she's basically trying to tell her that, these are my memories. She takes her back to where she first got her powers, when her best friend got ran over by a car. That's what kind of activated her powers. And Madeline, she then takes Madeline back to, her memory, and saying this memory basically belongs to you. This is nothing that anyone can take away from you. You gave birth to the child. You were happy here. This is your life. This is your memory. It kind of snaps Madeline out of Sinister's control, and she's now able to regain control of herself. And her and Scott attack Sinister. So I thought that was kind of dope. They teamed up to kind of take out Sinister. So they get the baby out of the incubator, and they learn that Sinister has infected the baby with some type of techno-organic virus. Now, in the comics, it was Apocalypse that infected Cable with the techno-organic virus. So they kind of went a different direction with that here. So that kind of threw me off a little bit, because in the comics, it was Apocalypse that actually infected Nathan, not Sinister. So the baby's got this techno-organic virus. They take him back to the mansion. They try to see if Beast can do anything for him. Beast's like, yo, I'm smart, but I ain't that smart.
He's like, I ain't got nothing for this right here, man. This that COVID.
I can't do nothing for you, man. Y'all better take this baby to the future and try to see if y'all can fix him there, because I can't do nothing for you. And you know it's got to be bad if Beast say he can't do nothing for you. Beast say I can't do nothing with this. Cyclops has a breakdown about he doesn't want to abandon his son because they come up with the idea to send the child to the future, and maybe they can find a cure for the virus there in the future. And Cyclops goes into this big dissertation about he was abandoned and he doesn't want to abandon his son. But in the very next frame, he walks out the door.
I was just about to say that.
Didn't you just abandon your child? They'd be dead, Cyclops.
And it looked like little Nathan crying.
Oh man,
he was. He was, but deadbeat Cyclops just beat it. He's like, I don't want no parts of this. I'm out. So Madeline decides to she's having a telepathic conversation with Nathan. I thought that was kind of dope too, because essentially she's giving him those memories. She's like, implanting that in him, so when he gets to the future, he'll realize why his parents send him away, and that she's just basically communicating with him. You know how a lot of times you'll talk to a child and like they're an infant, obviously you don't know if they understand what you're saying or not. So I thought it was dope that she was having that conversation with him telepathically and letting him know what's getting ready to happen, and for him not to be scared. And of course she gives him the bishop, and Bishop takes him away to the future. And I was like, okay, so he's gonna take him to Forge and let Forge fix him.
Okay, I must have blinked on this part because I surely do not remember this part. I must have blinked for a split second because I don't remember her giving the baby to Bishop at all.
Yeah, she gave the baby to Bishop for Bishop to take to the future. And for basically because Bishop was like, I know somebody in the future that can probably cure him of this virus, which we know that's Forge. So he was really going to take the baby to Forge and see if Forge could help him. So he goes through the time portal, and that's the end of Nathan and Bishop. So at the end of the episode, Madeline decides that she's up out of here. Like, I can't do this. This is too much. 2 genes. Y'all both sharing the same man. Like, y'all got to figure some shit out. So I'm finna be up out of here. And so Jean meets her at the gates and, lets her know that she's welcome to stay and that they're going to figure this thing out. And this is when she decides to introduce, just call me Madeline. I'm getting ready to go start my own life. Good luck to you and Scott. And they part ways and they shake hands. I thought that was kind of dope because in the comics, they actually didn't like each other. They didn't get along. Like, I think Madeline even tried to unalive Jean in the comics.
I was confused by this because I was like, yo, weren't you just the Goblin? I always forget her name because I always get it confused with Green Goblin.
Goblin Queen.
Yeah, I was like, weren't you just the Goblin Queen? So I was like, how you just automatically now you back to normal and you cool with Jean? I was like, you was just trying to take everybody out. So I was confused by this part.
Remember, she broke Sinister's control.
Yep.
She broke Sinister's control, so she's essentially back to being the clone Jean again. So, but now she realizes that she's not the real Jean Grey, so she's just basically saying, I'm finna get up out of your way and give you your life back, and I'm gonna go start my own life.
Right.
And so they part ways and she heads off. We later on learn that she ends up in Genosha, but at this point she just leaves. And so Scott's sitting here looking at the broken picture of him and Madeline with the baby and trying to figure out like where my life in to go. Your real wife come in here and they was like, man, we got to figure some shit out. Yo.
See, this is why I don't like Cyclops, yo. This is why I've never liked Cyclops, yo. Like, this type of stuff just, I like, for real, bro. Like, I'm like, the real one is there, and you crying about the one that was the clone.
That's a clone, right?
Clone. Like, this is your wife. This is the one you've been in love with, and you upset because the clone left, and she showed up. Like,
Don't get me started about that because I have issues with that too. Like, you know, why I felt like everybody was really playing Jean to the left. Like, she didn't ask to be kidnapped. She didn't ask to be cloned. Right? She came back home to you. Like, what?
Right,
Like, what's the problem? Yeah, he's always made poor decisions, even in the comics. He's always made poor decisions when it comes to his other women. You know, because there's Psylocke, there is Madeline Pryor, there's Emma Frost. I mean, the list goes on with Scott and these women. So
I mean, he was just selfish. He was just weak in general. I mean, that's why Logan stayed taking shots at him.
I was wondering if they were going to actually give Logan a chance with Jean because of this, because there was a time in the comic book where like Cyclops and Jean were kind of like on a pause, where they were not really together, especially when she found out that he was kind of having a telepathic affair with Emma Frost. And so I was like, you know, it would be dope if they actually gave Jean and Jean and Wolverine a chance, even if it was just like for a little short run.
I was about to say, if I remember correctly, even in the original series, they had a little run.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, Logan has always been after Jean, boy. You want a little taste of that.
He was all in the movie. He was after her.
Right.
Yeah, you want a little taste of Jean, bad.
Oh, Scott was the chief sweat of the X-Men.
My girl Storm.
My girl Storm. She don't made it to Dallas. She don't made it all the way to Dallas, Texas. She at a bar, and she's just trying to figure out what she's finna do with herself. Because at this point in time, she is powerless, and she has left the team, so she's trying to figure out. When I saw this, man, I got excited again. I was like, yo, this is when I actually realized that they're taking multiple storylines and merging them into one episode. Because when I saw this, I was like, are we going into life death?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's got to be Storm Forge. So, you know, I'm all on Wikipedia and I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, this is life death. I'm like, okay, they're merging Inferno into life death. I was like, this is dope. They're giving us more than one story arc in an episode. So that was dope. So Forge comes in and he introduces himself as an old friend of Charles Xavier and that he wants to help Storm get her powers back. And I was just trying to figure out, how did he know that she didn't have her powers?
Good question. Never thought about that.
I guess probably from the future. I mean, if Bishop took the baby to him in the future.
Well, I think what it could have been was maybe he saw it on the news. Maybe he saw it on the news because you remember when they were having it at the UN, all that was, I guess, televised.
Well,
so maybe he saw where the executioner shot her with that blast and knew that was a weapon that he had created that probably took her powers. But it was just kind of weird that he was able to roll up on her like that and knew that she didn't have powers, because the first thing he said when he walked up to her is like, man, sure it's hot here in Texas. I wish someone would make it rain. And so she knew right then and there, he knew that she didn't have her power. She was like, who you? What you want? So we go get life death. And I was like, okay, are we going to get the full life death? Because in the comics, Storm was powerless for a while. I'm talking about a while. I ain't talking about a couple issues or whatever. Like, she was powerless for a good little minute. Like her, Forge had a nice little run in comics for a little minute.
I'll say, shoot, she was powerless in this one for a minute. She didn't get her powers back to what, like episode 8?
Yeah, or 9. Something like that.
So she was powerless for a minute.
But I actually like where they were going with this, because I guess one of the reasons why I got so excited about it being life death was because we've never seen Storm with a love interest in the animated series, other than that episode where she went to like this Asgard future or something like that, and the dude tried to use her powers and he was turning the people into slaves or whatever. That's the only time I can recall them actually showing Storm with a love interest during the animated series. So it was dope that they actually gave Storm a story outside of her being this weather goddess. They actually kind of made her like the rest of the team, have other issues and stuff like that, because they've always kind of portrayed Storm as just this well put together and never have any issues. So in the comics, she really struggled for a while with the fact that she didn't have her powers. So I was like, okay, we finna get a story arc on Storm that we never saw before. So I was really excited to see that coming in. And that is the end of the episode. So I thought it was a very good episode. All right, fellas, what are y'all thinking about X-Men 97? I mean, I know we are reviewing in the past, but at this point, were y'all locked in, ready to keep watching? What did y'all think?
Definitely.
Yeah, I was mad we didn't have another episode right there on deck, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I hate that well, that's one thing that me and Fresh was talking about, because shows like this that we really like, we wish that they would drop them, but then I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I would have binged all of it at one time. I think that if they would have kept on the path that they were on, like they did with the first episode, where they dropped two episodes at a time, I think we would have still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. That's why. But I guess that's the new thing now. But I think because like Netflix, like when they drop their series, they go ahead and drop like all the episodes. So you get a little what's the word? You get a little spoiled with that. So like it was the same thing like when and I hate to jump to a different show, but like when Disney had dropped like Loki and WandaVision, it's like they dropped, I think it was like 3-4 episodes at one time. Like they had dropped them all, and then by like the fifth one they kept doing it that way. So yeah, I'm with OG Bobby on this one. It was just like when it went off, I was like, okay, I gotta wait till next Wednesday to see the next episode. Like you just go ahead and put them on that joint. But I guess it's a rating thing where they don't want everybody to binge watch it at one whole time, like in one whole day.
Yeah, because it's gonna spoil it for everyone else. I don't mind them dropping the weekly episodes, but like OG said, if they would have gave us maybe another episode right after this one, or if they would have gave us 2 at a time, I would have been dope. I wish the season would have been just a little bit longer, because some of these stories they rushed it. Like they rushed Inferno. And I definitely don't like what they did with Life Death, where they did part 1, part 2. That should have been a whole episode by itself. Life Death should have been a whole episode by itself. Now that Motendo bullshit, they could have kept that.
Okay, yeah,
they could have kept that.
That episode pissed me off so bad. That was like,
yeah,
I barely can vaguely remember what happened in that episode because I was so uninterested in that episode. And it made me so angry because I'm like, yo, y'all had this build up and now y'all drop this BS right in the middle of like the build up. Like this episode was not even needed. Like no one cares. Like, God, that episode,
Yep. But we loving it though. We loving what X-Men 97 is. This actually had me looking forward to the remaining episodes. Now, the only thing that saved episode 4 was the end part of it when we started getting the life death story. I said, okay, because I was about ready to turn the episode off. I don't like even lie. I was about ready to turn the episode off. I didn't like that way. But it still had me locked and loaded as to where they were getting ready to go, because I don't remember that story. I think that might have been in later on issues or whatever. I don't quite remember that story from the comics. I don't remember anything about that Motendo episode. Now, the one that they did in our animated series with Mojo, that was from the comics with Longshot and stuff in it. I remember that. But the Motendo one, I didn't know what the hell they were going with that until they got to Life Death, and I was like, okay, this is a filler episode. All right, cool. But they should have made it more of the Life Death and gave us that Motendo at the end. I would have rather them did that.
That episode felt like you was playing the actual game on Super Nintendo.
A video game
watching, you know how they got like little movie scenes or whatever while you waiting in between to get to the next board. That's exactly how that episode felt. And I just wanted to hit the button to skip. Get me to the end. Like, where's the action at? Because this ain't entertaining me right now.
This ain't entertaining right now at all.
Jubilee fireworks and like for real, I don't care nothing about her fireworks, none of that stuff.
You know, Cloud of Jubilee and her fireworks.
Like
It's 4th of July without having to go to the fireworks stand.
yeah, see, her holiday about to come up next month. She can do all the pyro, all she want next month. Like,
I really wish they would have done something different with Jubilee's powers over the years, but she's one of those Dazzler characters that she's got a useless mutant power. Like, I would hate to have a mutant power. Can't do nothing with the fireworks.
Facts.
All right, fam. That's it for this week's episode. So we'll be back next week. Those of you who are in the Power universe, come on back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll have our full panel here tomorrow to do our episode breakdown recap of Power Book 2, Ghosts. So if you haven't checked the episode out, go ahead and check it out and meet us back here tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll be able to talk about that. Fellas, any last minute thoughts?
nope. All good to go. Like I said, we'll see y'all next week. And for those in the Power Universe, see you tomorrow.
And special shout out to our guest host, Mr. OG Bobby, in the building with us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
All right, fellas. We out.